Cool. I'm very happy to have you here, Cristiano, today. Maybe we can start by introducing a little bit yourself. Who are you? What do you do? And what is the link that you have with the topic that we speak today? That is, as always, using artificial intelligence in cultural and creative works, I would say.
Okay, Luigi, I'm very happy to be invited to your episode here. I'm Professor Cristiano. I'm from Brazil. I'm from PUC. It's a Catholic university at Brazil. Okay, and I'm undergraduated in advertising, and I have my master and doctoral degrees on social communication. I'm actually today I'm the coordinator of the research program at the university. So all my life I work with advertising, with publishing market, and with games and with music, audiovisual, a lot of those creative sectors. So nowadays I have my company that helps other game design developers to manage their projects. And I'm also in a role as a research in this program, working with data about creative economy to understand how is the dynamic in the sectors about everything since production, even tools, and even to talk about AI. We had a panel last semester here about AI on advertising, visual, gaming, and how government are dealing with that in our region. So this is a very good topic for us because, like in the world, we are talking about AI every day here. Yeah.
Yeah. It's what we said at the beginning, before this call. It's a little bit of a buzzword right now. It's nice also to have you here because you have different hats, as you explained. So you are you can give us more perspective on this. And it's also a big pleasure all the time for an European project like us to talk with people that are not based in Europe, even if we met in Europe, me and you. It's very nice. It gives us a lot of perspective, I would say. So let's start soft and easy, Cristiano, as we always do with all the people that we interview. I can ask you, for example, if you personally use artificial intelligence, how do you use it in your business? Are there any specific tools or AI system that you use? And if you can give us an introduction on this.
Okay. I'm all the time experiencing something in AI, trying something in AI to understand, to know how to use. But most of the time that I use AI in my everyday, I use something like GPT chat. Yeah, I use a lot of this to help me with some instrumental tasks of the daily base. So like an email, like translations, like a form that I have to do for a public call, sometimes to correct grammar on Portuguese, on English. So most of my time of the day, I use AI as an instrumental thing for my daily bureaucracies, let's say this way. Okay, because even we work on creative sectors, we have a lot of bureaucracy because I deal most of the time with project manage. So all the time is forms, is meetings. I had to give tasks to people. So most of the time AI helped me with this organization. Of course that I try a lot of things with images because I'm an art director. This is my past. I used to be art director on advertising agencies. So most of the time I try a little bit of images to build something. This very controversial trend of Ghibli studios. So I go there and there to be what I can do with this. And I see most of the time people around me, even in all creative sectors, doing the same here in Brazil. When we use beyond just organization, just typing or just this kind of GPT way of use, I see people using images for reference, not for final product. So all the time they're using images as reference, videos as references. Like we say here in Brazil, I don't know if around the world is the same word, but we say that we build a monster when we build a video with parts of something for audiovisual. So I'm going to be honest with you. I want to see what this is going to do more for us, but most of the time I do the old GPT charts most of the time.
So I mean, you said already a lot of things, no? First of all, the fact that you are moved by curiosity, I would say at the beginning, no? At least in the sense
Yeah.
to understand, no? I mean, which is the same, to be honest, for me as well, and for very many people that we are talking to, is the fact that you see a trend and then you are curious to know where this will bring, considering as well the last trend of the last, I don't know, 10, 20, 30 years, no? Starting from internet and ending with social media, no? We had the sensation that this was something like big, but at the same time small. We didn't understand the meaning of it, no? And right now instead is part of our daily life, I would say, no? It's part of our reality that we don't even remember how it was life before social media, but there was a life before
Yeah.
social media. And another thing that you said is very interesting that I observed as well, and we are observing, I think, many people, is the fact that you start from using it for automating tasks, no? That before you didn't want to do, like polishing content or even creating content where the value is very low, no? In the sense that you need to
Yeah.
do this stuff, but you shouldn't do it or you don't want to do it. So there you ask the machine to do it. So it's a very low value, no? And then you ask this, it's like not human, no? On the other hand, anyway, no, it grows a little bit the usage of AI for something different. And in the field of culture and creativity, I think that this is posing a lot of questions, no? It's still at level of draft, just as you said, you call it monster, no? But I think that this is like evolving, no? And it poses a lot of different questions in the field of cultural creativity. A lot with the case of Ghibli, it was really like that, no? Because people question the copyright of this, like, is this ethical? And then I will pose maybe a banal question, but it's the question that everybody is posing themselves. Aren't you afraid that this is going to a little bit limit human creativity, or anyway change a little bit the relation that we have with our own creativity and the production of creative output? I mean, is there a limit that we should put, or is there a limit already? I don't know. Where do you position yourself in this debate?
Okay, I'm professor at university since 2002. This is 23 years that I'm professor, and I was hired for teach creativity. This is my discipline. So I don't have the same opinion that most of the people has about AI when we are talking about creativity. Not at least now, because like you said, it's evolved. So we know that very, very fast this can escalate and we can have something that will be revolutionary. Nowadays, what I saw most of the time, like you said, is that the AI needs a lot of our help to make a very good material. I'm going to say you another example that I did, that I tried. I tried to play. I'm a very amateur musician. So I play guitar, I play bass, I have drums, I have key. But so I know a lot about the music theory, and I know how to play. And last semester, 5 months ago, I tried to use one AI to create the lyrics, one AI to create harmony. And I'm going to say to you that it took me 2 or 3 days, and the results, it was very poor for me. So most of the time that I saw those examples online on YouTube videos about see how it's easy, everyone is gonna do. I don't know if we are in this level now. So I'm not so afraid. I know that we're gonna have something more rich, more sophisticated in the next years.
Mhm.
But I think that we're gonna adapt our process to use this as a tool. Like when Photoshop, it became something very spread. and the artists, they were very worried about what are we going to do now with illustration. It just changed the way that we deal with creativity and with our abilities, our cultural abilities. So I don't see nowadays, um, uh, I'm not worried with what's happening with AI. I think that most of the people has to try to be close, to understand, and visions. There will be differences on the process of each area: music, illustration, animation, games. But I think that we are we are follow we are together in that. We are, like you said before, I don't know if I understood what you wanted to say, but we saw a lot of this in the decades before, cycles, a lot of cycles. So we passed for one nowadays that was metaverse. Oh, metaverse is everything. Metaverse is gonna metaverse. How I'm gonna say, metaverse sleeps again and comes in another time. So I think that we are those cycles that we have to understand how to deal with this. But being a professor of creativity, I saw this process. I'm going to say to you with two sides. I'm very excited because what is happening, but I'm very worried because I have to prepare the new creative guys to understand that this is not a bad thing for them. They will know, they will have to redraw their processes to deal with those tools.
It's very nice the example you made with Photoshop. I think it goes really to the point. And your answer to this question lead us, let's say, to another very important point that is also one of the possibly the main topic of our project, meaning creating educational and training programs on the use of AI. What is the need for this? I mean, how big is this need? Because, that's what you are saying in a way, and in your own profession even more, because you said several times you're a professor. So what is the need for training and education? Does this regard all the people, and how we are going to do with this? Because the doubt that I have, for example, right now we are developing the curriculum, for our platform and our learning platform, and the issue is that the environment, the context is evolving so quickly that it's very difficult to imagine to develop a training now that next year or in 6 months will be up to date, because everything is changing also in terms of tools that you can use or the features of each single tool, they are evolving very, very fast. So is there a challenge there? And when you think about training and education, how do you approach this? And I'm of course mentioning specifically the use of AI for culture and creative professionals.
Okay, it's a very interesting public talking about educators and their relationship with AI. And I'm going to say to you, before we go in AI, we go back a little bit, because we have a lot of media tools like video, like music, like games, that I don't know the reality in the world. I have a little glimpse about that, but I'm going to say to you about Brazil. I'm going to say to you that even the educators that they are in the university now, in the pedagogic area, they are not dealing well with games and video nowadays. How they're gonna deal with AI? But I think for them, they are a very interesting audience for that, because this will gonna help them a lot of, because this will gonna give them abilities that they doesn't have. I have the ability because I'm come from advertising, so I know how to Photoshop, to Illustrator, to make something on Premiere, After Effects. I even do something that for a art director, I'm gonna I'm gonna say I'm gonna commit suicide to myself to saying that. Most of the day that I have to do a presentation, I go to slidesgo.com and I download a template, a very good template, and I'm gonna say I'm gonna be very honest with you, Luigi. Sometimes my speech it's about two things, but the slides has a template for three. I changed my mindset to three just to preserve the design from the template. And people get Cristiano, how do you do that? This is a template. So I think for educators, AI is gonna be very good when it hits a level that can be easy to them to understand, to deal with. I know that they have a lot of preconceptions about the tool, yeah, but they were gonna have to deal like us, like me, I'm professor, with the tools, with our bias about the tools, the thing, but we're gonna have to deal with the students, because if we are slow to understand, we are slow to adapt for, they are not, they are dealing with, they are using to us. So if we don't adapt before, they will cross us very easily. So most of the time in my classes, I allow GPT, but I say to them, just say to me, yeah, show me, okay, what's the result of GPT and what you did in the top. Last week, they had to deliver me an interview questions, and most of the time they show me and I say, this is GPT. Oh yeah, yes, professor. So look that. You have to change this, change this. I told you about this subject. GPT doesn't know. Do you have the GPT free or paid? Can you train your robots? So, but it's not easy for an educator. And we are talking about an educator on social communication, on advertising, in a university. Can you see this in high schools and other? So I think there is a very set of tools and AI for educators, and this will really make their lives easy.
It's very interesting. So, I mean, the need of education for both educators, no, for both trainers and trainees. And you said something very interesting. And are you able then to really detect when there is content generated by AI system? Really, are you that good with this? Because sometimes I don't realize it. I mean, it's very difficult. It depends on the content, of course. I work with the funding proposals, no? So document that we need to send to European Commission, they are very standardized. So, in a way, it's not a human job anymore, but the way in which I prompt ChatGPT to give me content feeding that application, well, that's human. And the way in which I prompt is different than yours. And is different than that one of another project developer. So I think that the difference is really there. And of course, the value of your content. So if we are talking about filling in an application form, I mean, honestly speaking, this is very standardized. So then you are able to detect, right? When a content is created by AI system.
Let me see. Sometimes, because like you said, in a bureaucratic text, yeah, you can see the difference sometimes. But in this case, I know the student, I know his potential, I know who he is, and so when he brings me a lot of questions, 12 questions, all formatted, like I see that, and I'm gonna guess it's not him, and I'm gonna say to him, and of course, he can be honest or not with me. If he said to me, no, this is me, I didn't pass to GPT, I'm gonna have to believe, because, like you said, I cannot detect. I detect because I saw a lot of questions formatted. I know the students, did he use GPT? And he said yes. So, honesty. But most of the time, I don't detect. I just detect because I mistrust, because I know the people.
That's very interesting.
So I try, and I use a lot of texts in my day in projects, like you said. I have the idea, I have the concepts, I know the authors, I know what I want. I have a previous project, and I fill up the GPT, gave to me, but I do a curation. That's the thing to me, because I take this test, and I'm gonna correct. I'm gonna give my little touch. I'm gonna see if this is what I want. Yeah, and that's because I told you that I use most of the time texts,
Yeah,
because I think that images and music and audio and videos, the relation to create is a little bit different, because the consistency, you don't have the consistency most of the time on the tool. So you generate an image and you say, okay, I want this person with something different, and he gives to you a lot of other details that he's doing a variation. I know that is gonna evolve, and perhaps you're gonna.
One of my question will be, how do you think that this will evolve? Because I'm going to use here your expertise in terms of image, but also gaming, no? Because you see this very well. So you use it today mostly for, you and professional like you, mostly for drafting stuff, no? So for designing ideas, if you want, the stuff that you're going to refine, let's say manually, no? I mean, nothing is manual anymore, but let's say manual work. Do you think this is evolving, specifically in the field of, for example, video image generation or even gaming, let's say? I mean, I know it's a very difficult question because nobody knows actually, but if you can picture or imagine how this is evolving.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of people talking about how this is going on games, let's see. Okay, because in games we have a lot of abilities. To me, it's the media with most needed abilities. Okay, so we need people from art, from audiovisual, from writers. We need writers, and we need programming. So you have a lot of fields that you can use different AIs to help you. I saw a lot of experience on YouTube, and people that tell me that is doing those experience most of the time with, for example, programming. Oh, it's easy now to make a game. You say to GPT what you want, it gives the codes. But when you go to the professional field, you cannot rely on GPT, because you have to get really control of your code. It has to be very functional. We have an expression here in Brazil that's brush bits, we call. I don't know if works in English, or you have something in Italy. We have to brush the bits of the code to get all you can get from the hardware or something like that. So GPT most of the time gives you something that works. Sometimes you have to make corrections, but for professional area, doing code on GPT, most of the time, just like I said, how we do for image that we use as reference, we can use GPT or all other AIs to solve a logical problem that we have to put again on the variables of the code. So I don't see professional developers using directly AI on programming. First thing. Second thing, I see most of the experiences here in Brazil on the developers that I talk most of the time, using, like I told you, as image references, not as final images. I saw another experience using 2D images as sprites for like pixel art versions for games, but not very professional. So most of the time, images they use as reference, programming they use to try to understand logical problems, but don't get the code and put on the gaming. And writers, most of the time, they use for level design, for for start the GDD, the game design document. So okay, we have the briefing, we have a lot of meets now. Let's put all the information and make the document, and let's work inside. So, but I saw a lot of people saying, no, games are revolutionary. Yeah, uh, I saw some cases, some professional cases from, I don't know, I'm gonna say to you, they say that, I'm not gonna repeat the name of the companies because I'm not sure about that. But big companies, like the AAA companies, like let's say generic way, like Ubisoft, the Epic Games, they're given some gifts that are generated the image of the game, so that they are using that. So, but I don't have sure because it's the internet, it's the gamers that are saying that. So I see a lot of, let's say, image writers and programming. They're using as support most of the time, but there's something very peculiar with games because we use a lot of AI is behind the scenes on the programming, on the agents. So this sometimes confuse people that what is generative AI as a tool and what is the use of AI that are like we use normal on games. So there is a lot of other data that we collect that we are using an AI to analyze. Yeah, to make easy to analyze those data. Instead that we see the Excel, we do the charts, we take this. So we have a lot of layers on gaming, but I see that we are in the same stage that I say, trying stuffs. We are not, there is no substitution. We're not changing something human for a machine like that.
So from what you said, it's not that there is a gaming specific case of use of AI. It's more or less the same. The example that you made is very, very clear, in which maybe is used after a debriefing, for developing the story or the board behind the game, but nothing more than that, or maybe generating images as a draft for understand a little bit, picturing a little bit the environment of the game, but nothing more for now, let's say.
Yeah, I don't have an example that I could consider professional and a very substantial case that this game is all made on AI. Yeah, we are using all the time for support in different areas of the production, but this help a lot. This take a lot of costs and time, of course. Given this experimentation, yeah.
For example, that's another question I have. I mean, it's true that right now this thing is evolving and changing a lot, and we see that the cost is decreasing a lot, at least at level of production of such a tools and system. But isn't this too expensive still? For example, also today for the usage of users, it seems that we are still on a wave in which implementing these solutions, it's anyway expensive, no? I think.
I'm going to say to you because I don't know the price of. I know the price of a little some tools, like GPT or something like that. But I don't think that is expensive for small and medium developers in the case of games. But then is a very good cost, and I think that take a lot of cost from them. Okay, so I don't.
What's about instead? I don't know whether you know something about the cost for developing the system instead. Do you need a lot of investment for developing, for example, an AI tool? Would you know anything about it? For example, if you look at the cost for developing the ChatGPT, it was anyway huge.
No, I don't have idea from the scratch how much it costs for developing an AI. I just know, like you guys, and we saw in news, how is the price of the DeepSeek behind the investments that USA does with artificial intelligence. But I'm going to say to you that what I say most of the time people doing is not developing AIs, is developing a bot.
Mhm.
in the top of a platform that already exists. So I don't know the costs, but I can tell you that I know the cost of games, and I think that will be similar sometimes because you have an application, people. So I think that you can do. Uh, I think nowadays, with all that we already have, and you can get as open source, you can do an AI with low cost, an AI for you. You can develop from the scratch, or you can do a bot, a very sophisticated bot with a very good price. But what I see happening is not the developing of an AI from the scratch. It's that the game developers are using the platforms that are bringing the price at existing platforms, and they are tuning, make the fine tuning to them. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Okay, cool, Cristiano. We're going towards the end of this. I would have more questions like, would you have any advice for a cultural and creative professional, let's say, approaching this world on the use of AI, a specific advice to these kind of people? You gave some already, I have to say, but maybe
Yeah. No, but something come to my mind because we're dealing when we are talking about creative sectors and professionals from creativity, we are talking about very different people. Because if we took the definition or the concept of creative industry, we're gonna have advertising designers, fashion designers, game developers, and we go to the core, we're going to the cultural sectors. So those guys on what we call creative sectors or design services, they're dealing, I think, a little bit more, they're dealing a little more nice with those tools nowadays, okay? But I think that we have to talk more about the cultural guys, the artists, really in the core, the musicians, the visual artists, the writers in the literary area. I think those guys, I don't know how it's for you in Italy and Europe, but here in Brazil, they are very afraid. They are very, if you took an advertising guy, designer, a game developer, you're going to have a cool conversation about, we're going to see pros and encounters. But when you talk with a musician, when you talk with a poetry, when you talk with a painter, those guys see the end of the world. They have a very dark picture about AI and how this will gonna take their jobs, their money, their way of life. And my concern about that, because I work with public policies for culture, and what I do most of my research is to support those guys, cultural and of course the creative on the borders. But most of the time, what I say to them is that they have to stop to see this as a dark future and see how they can have practice with that, to enter on this culture, to not be afraid of technology. Yeah. And something that worries me more is that the new artists, sometimes they are reproducing the speech of the old artists. They're not coming together with us on this path. So I think this is an advice for artists, for cultural people. Give a chance, give a shot to AI, to understand, to be close to those other functional artists, like I used to say, designers, advertisers, mingle with them. This is something that they have to do in a way to see a brighter future.
That's a very interesting thing. So get used to it, to the tool, and as well this thing of making contact, let's say, in communities with all the different kind of creatives can be very, very useful. In Italy, I think it's the same. In Europe, I would say, but even in Italy, it's the same. The debate really lies there on the copyright issues, on creativity issues. Above all, you are right for this kind of professional, because the other one are anyway already immersed in technology, no?
Yeah.
Gaming, it is technology nowadays. I mean, since decades now already. So instead, musician, artist, theater. I deal a lot with theater, for example. It's a little bit of It's really like, because this is very much linked to expression of our own arts, let's say, and our own feelings. So yeah, that's more complicated, I would say. Okay, cool. Thank you, Cristiano. It was very very interesting conversation, and that's it. Thank you very much.
I thank you, Luigi, for the invitation, and hope it was a good chat,
Definitely.
and the people enjoyed that.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. Thank you very much. See you next time then. Thank you.